At this time, that moves us to the action agenda. Item 13, action is necessary or appropriate on matters discussed in executive session. Do I have any motions? Mr. Scully?
I move that we do not hear the employee grievance appeal discussed in Exhibit A.
Can I get a second? Mr. Satterfield? All those in support of Mr. Scully's motion?
Any discussion?
Is there any discussion? All right. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Any other motions?
I move that the board approve selected employment items, Exhibit B.
Is there a second? All right, Mr. Satterfield?
I'd like to amend the motion.
Yes, ma'am.
To direct the administration to hire an internal auditor as required by Board Policy DIE and authorize the administration to set the job title and compensation as needed to secure qualified candidates.
Second.
I mean, I think it's self-explanatory, but it's been in the board policy for a while, and I know we tried to hire people and didn't get them, probably because the job title and the pay. So I think it's important that we do it, and if we're not going to do it, then we need to discuss changing the board policy.
Dr. Ross?
This has already been approved.
Right, but we haven't posted, I mean, it hasn't been posted in years, so that's, or not years, months, so that's why I said to move to, maybe I can amend my own motion to post a position for an internal auditor. I'll amend my own motion.
And I'm just asking further clarification. We've posted that multiple times. We looked at the, we did not get the candidates that met the criteria and presented to the board that we would like to go to a company. Or does this motion mean that we can't look at a firm?
This motion would be to actually hire someone, and since it's been a while and the job market has changed, I'm making the motion because I think we should try again. And give the administration the leeway to change the salary and/or job title as needed to get qualified applicants.
Thank you.
Have we tried to fill this position since Ms. Tucker's been here? I would like to hear her feedback on this position and the need for it, and what does she think?
I actually think that this is a position that we would need. I don't know, I haven't seen any applicants since I've been in my current role, but I would welcome an external group or an external person that is not a district employee, does not report to the district, maybe reports directly to the board to look at internal auditing processes.
And just to clarify the policy says that the position does report to the board, but administratively reports to the superintendent.
And I just wanted to know, I knew we had posted it before, but with the changeover, I couldn't remember who was in place. Mr. Scully?
Yeah, I feel like this is something that needs to be a recommendation from the administration and not imposed by the board without that. So just kind of a shotgun motion to do this is not appropriate tonight.
Well, I'd like to make the point, this is in policy. So this is not out of the dark. This is in policy, and we did discuss it in executive session.
Yeah, just for clarity for the few folks that are still here now that all the students have gone from their government classes, we've tried to hire somebody. Everybody on the board saw a need for an internal auditor. That was something that we all approved. We did not have any success. We tried and we tried again, and I think we tried again. And then the board did vote on the superintendent's recommendation to hire a firm to provide those services for us because we saw the need for the services. So can you give us a brief update, Dr. Ross, on that process, please?
That's correct. I think we have to go back and look at the timeline, but I know that since then, we have done some restructuring in the finance department. I think on September the 11th, 2020, 4, I believe, we modified to put internal controls within finance with a coordinator of finance position in the restructuring. I know that's prior to Ms. Tucker. However, it wasn't 2024, 2023 that we did that, but I'm certainly, I know we have a control code that's there. What I would like to do is report back to the board where we are with that control code. I'm not opposed to the motion. I just think we need to look at where we are in the process. But I do believe that when we came back to the board, we did not have any qualified candidates. I think we posted it, and there was one candidate that did not meet the minimum qualifications. There was one applicant, I should say, one applicant that did not meet the minimum qualifications. And then we looked to see if a firm could be the external. However, being that the intent is that they administratively report to the superintendent and formatively, I think, report to the board, I'm more than welcome to look at a reposting. I just want to get a line item of funding, and we've never presented something without its funding associated. So we are certainly in position to bring back at the next board meeting where we are with that.
Prior to you saying that, I was going to say something similar to Ms. Huddle. I'm not opposed to us revisiting this. To your point, it is in our policy. I do think since Ms. Tucker wasn't here when we revisited it before, it would be, for lack of a better word, maybe fair to have her have an opportunity to go back and look at the posting and maybe come back to us at the next meeting with the plan forward surrounding that. Would you be amenable to that?
Yeah, I'll amend my own motion. I amend the motion to direct the administration to bring back to the board their recommendation on posting for an internal auditor position as required by board policy DIE.
Okay, second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Discussion.
Yeah, I question whether that's even a valid motion. It's the motion originally was to approve selected employment items in Exhibit B. An internal auditor is not on the agenda tonight, so I don't think that that's a valid motion. So I would not advise moving forward on that tonight. If anything, we need to wait for a recommendation from the administration to bring us a proposal.
Mr. Satterfield, and then back to you, Ms. Huddle.
Yeah, and I understand what Mr. Scully is saying. I do, though, believe that it would be a good idea if that was the original intent. Everybody thought it was a great idea to get an internal auditor. Dr. Ross, could you come back to the board with that? And also with the cost of such position too, because that is something that we would have to approve. That would be an additional position.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have Ms. Huddle's amendment to her amendment on the floor. All those in favor of Ms. Huddle's amended motion? All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. That brings us to number 14.
Actually, the main motion, we still have to vote on the.
There were so many amendments, I forgot. I'm sorry. That brings us back to the original motion, Mrs. Scully's motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Come on down, Ms. Tucker.
What's next?
You are, you are. Just bear with me, first meeting, but we're going to get through this. That brings us to item number 14 on the action agenda, approval of a resolution declaring the results of the bond referendum. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it. I approve the resolution declaring the results of the bond referendum, Exhibit E.
You want me to do
Or
that? Ms. Barnhart, I wrote it down, so you'd
Yep,
like me to
you're
do
right.
it?
We're working on it.
All right, let me get my glasses.
Oh, we got a second. She read it.
Oh,
and
we
got
have a second?
Yep,
What was what was your motion, Ms. Barnhart?
to approve.
Turn your microphone on.
The approval of a resolution declaring the results of the bond referendum, Exhibit E.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go.
Any questions?
Do you have any discussion, any questions for Ms. Tucker? All right, all those in favor? All those opposed? And the motion carries 7-0. The easiest one tonight for you, Ms. Tucker. All right, that takes us to number 15 on the action agenda, approval of solicitation of a construction management firm. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve solicitation for construction management firm Exhibit F.
Second. Mr. Satterfield? Dr. Ross?
Yes, ma'am. In our next steps, our goal is to get a construction management team on the ground to assist us. Right now, with a potential of $240 million of projects, we have 2 people managing that, Mr. Dave Wiseman and Alan Knotts, in addition to the rest of the school district. The solicitation would have to come back to the response to solicitation would have to come back to the board for final approval.
Ms. Huddle?
I have no concerns with doing this, but I have concerns with approving the solicitation before we know what they will do. I would be more comfortable if we postponed this and let the administration come back to us with not necessarily the full RFP, but at least the duties within the RFP. We actually kind of got dinged on a report by the Inspector General because the board approved an RFP, and our actual RFP was not worded like the way the board approved it. And this is a really big deal, and I'm expecting this to be a pretty big contract. So, in fact, I'm going to make a motion that we defer the approval of the solicitation until after the board has reviewed the job duties of the construction management firm.
A second.
Do we have any, Mr. Satterfield?
Yeah, I want to ask, Dr. Ross, could you elaborate a little bit on this, this request?
Yeah, so the solicitation is, we write it not as an RFQ or RFP, because we need flexibility in writing that with our attorney. We will use our construction attorney to write this, and giving us that flexibility to be able to write specifically that. Any board members can review that. Again, we're not contracted until we actually reach out for bringing a group back. The scope of this are the approved projects of the bond referendum. So it's all of the projects, all 13 lines that we have outlined in the bond referendum, the same thing that we've been sharing with the public for over 2 years now. So that's the scope of this. We would just need construction management. In terms of the responses, again, procurement is a long process. I think any delay on that puts us further behind on moving forward on some of the solicitations you already sent out. You already sent out solicitations for Dutch Fork. You already sent out solicitations for the traffic at Dutch Fork Elementary School. There's been multiple solicitations for the wings at Chapin Elementary School and Lake Murray Elementary School. Delaying us on this, I just think puts us further behind. One of my worries, and I'm just going to be honest with you, is we have been using summer 23 data to show to the public. Those numbers are changing every day. The price of steel, labor, lumber, and construction. So, you know, hold me accountable if we don't get this right. But we're asking for the ability to lead in this area so that we can deliver these projects. So again, final approval comes to the board, but the scope is the bond referendum, management of the bond referendum projects. We have already have a construction management model with Brownstone now at Irmo High School. And so it is very similar to what we already have in place. This is nothing new.
So when just another question for you, just for clarity. So when you send out the RFQ for, to try to get a company to come on board here, they know everything. They have it all laid out in front of them. They know what they're responsible for. They know all the projects. They know everything that's in the bond referendum. So it's not like we would hire somebody and then say afterwards, oh, by the way, here it is, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Ms. Huddle? Sorry,
I understand it's for the breadth of the bond referendum, but, I mean, we have a three-line description of it, and my concern is that this is a lot of money, and none of us were here, but mistakes were made with the 2008 bond referendum, and understanding what they're responsible for versus what our staff is responsible for. So, just to throw one thing out as an example is who's going to approve the pay apps? Are they going to be involved in that, or is that still with finance? That's what I'm looking for, is just, that work is required to create the RFP anyway, or RFQ anyway, so why not go ahead and do that and come back to the board and say, this is what we want these companies to do? And that way we have a good discussion about, does that cover everything that we think needs to be covered? And does it also make sure, and the staff gives us a chance to weigh in, and is there any gaps or anything where we have duplicate coverage?
Dr. Ross?
I would just say to Ms. Tucker, I'm going to put you on the spot here on timelines, but us proceeding, by the time we get to our next board meeting, you could see a draft of that to stop it, of that solicitation before it actually hits the street, correct? Because our next meeting is
December 9th.
December 9th.
We could have a draft for that by then for the board to review. Procurement is.
We don't have one person in procurement right now.
We have one person in procurement right now.
Yeah, so stopping us now to wait just puts us further behind. If we start the train in motion, you have time to pull it off the track. But we have one person, and we would just like to start as many of these things as we can without overwhelming that one person.
I keep missing Mr. Scully, and then I'll get to you, Mr. Herring.
Yeah, my concern is that this is a motion from somebody who is openly opposed to the referendum to begin with. It's a delay tactic. We need to move forward.
See, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Out of order.
You are not
Out
the
of
board
order.
chair.
So this is a delay tactic that we're going to see probably over and over and over again throughout the referendum process. So we have procedures in place to follow. We have capable people. We need to put our faith and trust in them and our policies and procedures and move forward. There's no risk in moving forward with this motion. So I would highly recommend that we do not support Ms. Huddle's motion.
I'm sorry, Mr. Herring?
Just curious, typically, how long does it take to find and engage a management company?
I think the last time we did this process, it took us several months to go through the RFQ process, do the vetting of the initial folks down to the actual interviewing phase. So it does take several weeks, if not a couple months, to go through this entire process.
Ms. Huddle?
So if our next board meeting is December 9th, would the RFQ be issued before then? How long does it normally take to create it?
Well, I think that's more of the line item in procurement. What happens is this would fall under the line of existing solicitations we have. And I know our procurement person is watching So we don't want to stress her out. So what we're trying to do is, it goes in the queue.
No, I understand that. I guess I'm just asking, is it likely to be issued before December 9th or not?
It's probably a 3 or 4 down her list of, in order. I know she's working on some others right now. It would be close.
So why not let it get created and us vote on it? And I have to say, I think the personal attacks and assumptions need to stop, okay? I'm committed to this bond referendum. It passed, the public was heard, but we as a board, our job is to make sure it's done right, not to slow it down, but to make sure it's done right. And if it's going to be close, why not get it ready and bring it to us? That's all I ask.
Just point of clarity, so approving us to move forward would be getting that ready for review on December the 9th? Yes, ma'am, okay.
Okay.
Just for clarification. So we think that it could be done, and like you said, I don't want to stress the procurement person out, but it could be done by then, or?
If the board would like us to have that done before the December 9th meeting for the board to review, I can work with procurement and we can make sure that we have that solicitation done for the board to review and approve or modify. Ideally, we would like to put it out before Christmas so that there's that time period when we could have responses back by January.
Right. And I mean, I think that that would be good for the public to see, you know, that we can get that done, but also, I mean, this is $240 million that we're talking about, and I mean, I do agree with Ms. Huddle that every process should be done correctly, and if we can get that done by the next board meeting, then we can look it over and vote for it. I don't disagree with it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Barnhart. I think
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to go ahead and vote, but unless you feel very strongly that you need to say something.
I think
that's all
I'm
right.
confused. We're asking to move forward so that we could have a draft by December. If we don't move forward tonight, then we won't have anything in December.
Well, let me modify my motion,
Okay.
because the motion was to approve the solicitation, which in and of itself would mean the board doesn't have to see this again, okay? So I'm going to modify my amendment to say, amend the motion to move forward with creation of the solicitation for construction management with final approval of the solicitation by the board at the December 9th meeting.
Kathy, Ms. Huddle, I think
I
I'm
pressed the
confused
wrong
by
button.
your motion.
I press it. I'm a little confused now. Are you asking for a job description for everything that this would entail when we contract with these folks? Is that what you're requesting?
Just a high-level list. I mean, it's up to the administration, but we have there's no description in what we got of what they will do.
Okay.
So it could be, you know, it could be really, really big, or it could be really small. So I just think that the board needs to approve I mean, we're outsourcing something that could potentially be very expensive. So up to the administration. It's in the RF. If you've ever read an RFQ, there's a description in there. So nothing special, just let's go ahead and see what's going to be in the RFQ before we approve it.
Okay,
Okay.
my question is, and I'll go back to our Ms. Tucker. Sorry, my eyes are not so good, Ms. Tucker. How long will it, we were talking about it takes a couple of months to get a response on this, right? So we're not going to, the board is going to have to approve the hiring of this person, correct? So if we approve to move forward with the RFQ, it doesn't mean that we're hiring those folks, and we can see we will be presented with a long list of their responsibilities before we hire anybody, right? So what is the purpose of waiting for the lists? We know we're going to want to hire this organization to lead us through this process. We're going to have time, we will see, before we hire this organization, right? Am I missing something, Dr. Ross?
I think,
So what is the purpose of delaying the approval of the RFQ?
I think we can go ahead and call the question. I think we're there. We have two motions on the floor. We'll start with Ms. Huddle's amended motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? That motion fails 4-3. That brings us back to Mr. Scully's original motion. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries 4-3. That brings us to the last item on the action agenda, number 16, certification of delegates for the 2024 Delegate Assembly. Dr. Ross?
Yes, and I'm going to ask Ms. White to assist me with this. I know that the November 14th Delegate Assembly is coming up. We are provided 6 votes, and so we have each of you listed, but if you're not attending, then we would just note that we would do so if you're not attending, we can assign a vote to an attending member. I think
Correct.
each member can get no more than 2 votes, right, in absence. So we have the list. So if there are any trustees that would not be attending the delegate assembly, we would just need to notify that.
Ms.
I'm
Huddle
not attending.
and Mr. Bainum?
I'm not as well.
Are not? Okay.
Okay. So we'll just give your vote to an attending member. Okay.
So we got to do?
So we just need a motion to approve the.
We need a motion to approve the delegates.
I make a motion that we approve the delegates for the 2024 Delegate Assembly, Exhibit G.
Okay, being picky, but Exhibit G has everybody's names on that. So can I move to amend the motion to allocate the delegates for Mr. Bainum and Ms. Huddle to the other attendees.
Second.
Second. Perfect. All in favor of the amended motion? And that carries 7-0. Perfect. And we still need to vote on Kevin's original motion. All those in favor? Opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you.